Namaste, good morning. Namaste, Shamla Didi. Namaste, all the colleagues for us. Welcome to the morning session.
जी नमस्ते सुनील जी
जी
सभी को नमस्ते गुड मॉर्निंग so we have been talking about exercise 1 observing ourselves. We said that we are doing these exercises, exercise 1 and 2, to be able to live with fulfillment. We had mentioned earlier, we had talked about it, that we all want to live, not just live, but live with happiness in continuity. And we said that for that we need three things: right understanding, right feeling and thought, and the competence for right living. That means living in relationship with harmony and in coexistence with the world outside. So, such that when we interact with other human beings, there can be mutual happiness. And when we work with the rest of nature, there can be mutual prosperity. For that, our participation needs to be right. Participation in this entire nature so that there is happiness and prosperity for all. So, for that, we are doing exercise 1 and exercise 2. We also said that first we will work on the self, because when we say right understanding, right feeling, right thought, all this needs to happen in the self. And the competence for right living will happen only when there is right understanding, right feeling, and thought in the self. So, our major focus will be on the self. This is why we mentioned that in exercise 1, we will be working on ourselves. We will try to look inward and develop ourselves. And then in exercise 2, we'll also be looking at the body, trying to understand the body and how to keep it in harmony. So, in these exercises, we said that we need to understand. To understand, we need to see. See means to observe inside. And for that to happen, we need to pay attention inside. So, in these exercises, we are paying attention to see, to understand, and to live with fulfillment. And we said, when we are paying attention, we need to know about two things. One is, what are we going to pay attention to? And what is going to be the process of paying attention? So, what are we going to pay attention to? We talked about what we need to understand. We had mentioned that this entire existence is in the form of coexistence, in which the units are submerged in space. And we said there are two types of units: material and consciousness. So, what do we need to understand? We need to understand the consciousness, which is the self. We need to understand the material. An example of that is the body. And we need to understand space and this coexistence. So, in this chart on your screen, you can see that what our order is going to be like. Number one, we are going to work on the consciousness or the self. Number two, we will be working on the material, so particularly the body. And then thirdly, lastly, we will just briefly touch upon the space and the coexistence. in the form of trying to pay attention to the distance between the units, because right now our focus may be largely on the units, but as we keep paying attention inward, we will find that the space which we have perhaps completely ignored is something, it's a reality that we need to understand. So that idea we get when we start focusing on the distance between the two units and trying to see the relationship between two units, between all the units. But that will be left for exercise 3, that we will not be focusing much on. Largely, our focus is going to be on exercise 1 and 2. And once we develop the competence to look within and try to do the steps in exercise 1 and 2, then at a later time, we can also work on exercise 3. So who is going to see? Who is going to observe? So if we see, right now, when we look outward, we use the eyes of the body to see. So there are some trees outside, there may be some human beings outside that you see. There may be many things you see. And we've all read about this in biology and physics, that an image is formed on the retina in the eyes. And incidentally, this is an inverted image. But when we see it, we don't see it inverted. We see it right side standing up. And in fact, we will notice that we are the ones who are interpreting whatever image is formed on the retina, that we interpret. And it's very interesting, we interpret only what we want to see. The rest we ignore. For instance, many of us may have wanted to look at the sunrise. So when you go to see the sunrise, you may notice that your focus is largely on looking at the sun. And everything else that is also forming an image in your retina, you don't pay much attention to. It's like you have zoomed into one particular aspect of the environment, and the rest we ignore. So essentially, we use the eyes of the body to see, but in fact, we are the ones who are seeing or observing. The body is just being used as an instrument, as and when we need to see. So I think yesterday, what we were trying to see is, what do we pay attention to? Are we aware of that? So we said we need to observe our object of attention. Is it the same, or does it keep shifting or changing? If it is shifting, try to see, are you consciously deciding to shift your attention to something else? Or does it seem to be happening automatically? So this we can discuss now. If you'd like to share your observations, what were your findings?
Didi, namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste to all. Didi, this yourself, what is what to call? It is a unit, Didi. Yes. And space is not a unit, but this self, because space is all pervading, and transparent also. And self, whether self is also like space, it is formless and shapeless, Didi, and self is also all pervading.
See, when we talk of the self, what we talked of earlier was that this is a unit, right? It is a conscious unit consciousness, unit of consciousness.
जी
We also mentioned that units are limited in size.
हम्म
है ना? So limited in size means it cannot be all
it has
pervasive.
depends
ना? We'll not go into the form because at this time we may not have developed the capacity to see the form because we are tuned to looking through the eyes. But as we develop the capacity by looking inward,
हम्म
we can reach that potential where we see the form of the self, we can see the space, we can see everything. But till that happens, don't believe whatever I'm saying. Try to keep it open for yourself. Yeah.
okay okay
See, when we identify with something, the consciousness has the ability to identify with whatever the object of attention is. So if you are identified with your thoughts, you think you are the thought.
yeah
To identify with your feeling, your emotion, you think you are the emotion. And you get very disturbed, isn't it?
yeah
So
yeah
as we go beyond this, huh,
जी
are you able to appreciate this?
yeah दीदी
Yeah.
that's separate thoughts
Yeah. So what I'm trying to get at is when we identify with the space, it is as if we are space. But the units have activity, the units are limited in size. Space,
yeah
as we mentioned, is no activity.
all pervadi
It is all pervading. But we can keep it open till we are able to see it ourselves.
दीदी self is also transparent again let me keep it open
Yeah, keep it open because right now, if the self is transparent, then we should all be able to see each other's thoughts, feelings, but it's
oh.
not, isn't it?
yeah but we are similar na didi na the
We are similar,
mm
but not necessarily transparent. We are similar as consciousness units. We are similar in that we all have imagination. We are similar in that we all have natural acceptance, right? We all have these activities within us. And we
program
are
potential
similar in that we all have this potential to see within. So we have to work on our potential and try to achieve that potential by seeing within ultimately.
true
Yeah.
okay thank you
Namaste, Didi.
Namaste.
So what I have observed is yesterday, I was paying attention to my thoughts and feelings, or I would say, like actually there was a tooth pain, and that was actually troubling me. I mean, that was taking my attention. And I also observed that to avoid that sensation, I was there was a desire or a desire of eating something, and so that became my identity. Like I want to eat or to avoid this pain. So, and I would also like to know, ideally, what should I pay attention to? Thank you, Didi.
Yeah. So, ultimately we have to pay attention to the reality, whatever there is in the existence. So when you look at it like this, it looks very, very vast. And there is so much to pay attention to. How can you do it? But that's why we have narrowed it down to essentially, if you say two basic realities, one is space and one is units. And in the units, if you break it down further, we need to pay attention to the consciousness, that is the self, and we need to pay attention to the material, example of which is the body, which we have with us all the time, and we can, look within it. So when we discuss this exercise 1, we'll be talking about what we need to pay attention to. And it will begin with paying attention to our imagination, paying attention to the desire, the feeling, desire associated with the feeling, the thought, the expectation. All of this constitutes the imagination. So we will begin with paying attention to the imagination, because until and unless I know what is going on inside, I may not be even conscious of the fact that I'm thinking something and it is going to lead to my behavior outside. Our focus largely becomes on the behavior, but as we pay attention inside, we are able to bring ourselves in line with the natural acceptance and eventually have definite behavior outside. So that is what we'll be paying attention to. As of now, yesterday's assignment was that we need to just see whatever we are paying attention to. So sometimes you'll see you might be paying attention outside. Sometimes you might be paying attention inside. And this may keep shifting here and there. How long we seem to stay at an object of attention, how often we see it drift. That observation we were to make yesterday. Yeah?
Yes, Didi. So it keeps changing. The object of attention keeps changing, and also most of the time I'm not aware of it. I'm not choosing it consciously, and sometimes I'm consciously choosing. Is it right way of observation?
Yeah, that's fine. So object of attention changes, or I am paying attention to something, a particular thing at some time and something else at another time. Since you have been there from before, I'll just wanted to mention that, right?
Okay.
We'll keep looking at it, and as we go along, then we'll be going further in detail with the exercise.
And Didi, one more thing, can I ask?
Yes, please.
Like I said, there was a desire of eating something, and but like actually when we check the natural acceptance, like is it going to nourish my body? So that all those understanding is there. In spite of that, when actually practically it is not getting followed, like there are times there is a desire to eat sweet, which is not going to nourish the body, but still there is that temptation, or like it comes into practical. So what exactly, how do I bring that into practical, my natural acceptance?
Yeah. So my natural acceptance is for something to nurture my body, isn't it? Because ultimately I want to nurture the body. I don't want to exploit or damage the body. So what is nurturing for the body? I will try to pay attention to that. So even if I like sweet, for example, I may choose, instead of sugar, I may choose a natural sweetener, which will be nurturing for the body, if I am paying attention to the natural acceptance. So there I will be eating the sweet also, but at the same time, I will be nurturing the body also. My focus shifts from, if I'm paying attention to the natural acceptance, my focus shifts from only taste to taste with what is nurturing for the body. And whenever we are feeling comfortable within, whenever we are, fulfilled from within, you may notice that we don't even think about these sweets, eating, those kind of things. Have you noticed that?
Yes, Didi.
Yes. So the place to work is not to stop myself from eating something. It is to become conscious, to become aware, and to start referring to my natural acceptance. And then seeing what we can do. Does that make sense?
Yes, Didi. So when I'm aware of myself as self, like because I get caught up in the imagination also, like like I consider myself as body, or so like if I am referring to myself or my natural acceptance, the more I pay attention to that, so I will be fulfilled, right, Didi?
Paying attention to the natural acceptance and having the right feeling in accordance with the natural acceptance. That will make me feel comfortable within, isn't it? Don't you think?
Right.
If
Yes.
I just refer to the natural acceptance, but my feeling is something else, then what will happen? That you can try to observe.
Okay, Didi.
Like for instance, sometimes when we get angry, we may notice that we are getting angry, isn't it? But not necessarily comfortable. Until we are really observing from the point of pure observer, and then we are able to see that I am beyond this feeling of anger, and I am able to correct that feeling, bring it in line with my natural acceptance. So if I am continuously having the right feeling in line with the natural acceptance, then I feel fulfilled. I feel comfortable within. But till that happens, all the time, we have to consciously make an effort. That's why it seems difficult at times. But we have to keep working on it, have to make that effort consciously. And as we keep doing that, the amount of effort you need to put in, that will seem less and less.
Okay, Didi. Yes, I got it. Thank you so much.
Namaste, Didi.
Namaste.
Didi, I'm to share my observation also, and one or two queries also related with my observation. That just with this very beautiful principle of guided imagination, I have been able to control my food habits since last 2 months. I'm very happy. There are no opposing pulse goes on into my mind. I don't feel any temptation for the food which is not healthy for me. But when it comes to the part of on the part of my social interactions, I feel that the opposing pulse going back and forth. Sometimes that I think about that something wrong which was done on my part, that if I haven't behaved in that way, that things might have been different. And sometimes I keep on thinking the other way, that no, I'm not going to be always good, that it will be something sort of utopian setting. So how a person can be so good? So I should this sort of right understanding is not practical for me. And when I again think back to my food habits, then I feel that, oh, I have controlled my food habits. The same way I can control my interactions to nourish that very innate happiness within me. So, is this the right way of observing? Is this the right way of moving towards self realization, to passing through these very opposing poles, sometimes in retrospection, sometimes to look into future, sometimes to question my own behavior, sometimes to agree, sometimes to disagree,
Yeah.
whether I'm going in the right direction?
Yeah. So if we look at
You
this,
see? You see?
so when we talk of the natural acceptance
Yes.
and referring to the natural acceptance, you will find why do we
Yes.
need to refer to it is because we are many a times identified with the imagination. Many a times we have contradictory thoughts,
Yes. Ma'am.
isn't it?
Yes, Didi.
One thought
Yes,
might,
Didi.
like you're mentioning,
Mhm.
why should I do this? The
Mhm,
other
mhm,
thought might be, no, I will be fulfilled. So somewhere
mhm.
we are not very
Yeah.
sure whether this is the right method or not.
Yes.
Or
Yes, Didi.
we have some previous assumptions also, many previous assumptions.
Many deep-rooted assumptions, preconditionings. Yes.
Yes. And now we are hearing something else. This is
Yes, ma'am.
creating one more assumption in us that maybe if I do this, then I will be fulfilled.
Yes, Didi.
But we have not reached that fulfillment. So
Yes.
somewhere
Didi.
this contradiction is there.
Yes, Didi.
Should I do this? Should I do that?
Yes. Yeah.
One assumption says this is useless, it's not practical. Another
Mhm.
assumption says, no, if I do this, I'll be fulfilled.
Yes,
So
Didi. Yes,
different
Didi.
assumptions, sometimes this one kicks in, sometimes the other one kicks in.
Yeah. Yeah.
No?
Mhm.
Sometimes I go with this assumption, sometimes I go with
Yes.
another.
It happens. It happens many times.
So to
Actually.
go beyond this,
Yes, Didi.
ultimately we have to refer to the natural acceptance. What is my natural acceptance for?
Yes.
So you mentioned about feeling, no?
Okay. Okay, ma'am.
About feeling,
Ji.
when somebody misbehaves or whatever.
Yes. Mhm.
So
Yes,
there
Didi.
also, if we refer to our natural acceptance, what is our natural acceptance for? What do we really want? Relationship or opposition? That question you have to ask yourself then.
Mhm.
Hmm?
Yes,
So you
yes, yes, it happens. May I say?
please go ahead.
Actually, what happens that as you are saying that whenever there is I feel upset, na? I feel a little bit disturbed, and this very
Mhm.
thought comes to my mind that to be in relationship is only source of happiness for me, but
Mhm.
it's such a momentary thought that things get disturbed the very next moment. So,
Mhm.
so for to be constant, to be consistent, how should I proceed?
Yes. So that is what is
Em-
awareness. Being
You
aware of
yes,
the imagination, meaning you're observing from a higher point, the imagination. You're not
I
identified
feel
with it. है ना?
I feel yeah, I feel
हाँ.
so.
So if you
Mhm.
are constantly observing, you will be able to notice that.
Yeah, Didi. Mm.
But if we are shifting into the past and the future, now we are getting
Then it will,
swayed
yeah.
by the imagination. We are drifting
Mm.
with the imagination. Now we are not
Mhm.
observing.
Mhm.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Now I have got your point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Didi.
Anyhow, we'll be discussing in a lot of detail now
Yeah,
as we go further.
Didi.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Didi.
Okay, let's go to the slide that we stopped at. Yeah. So I am the observer and I am using the body as a tool. And we can keep observing this at different times of day. Now, to see, to observe, we said we will be seeing the self by the self. That means I, the consciousness, will be observing myself, the consciousness. In exercise 2, we will be seeing the body by the self. That means I, the consciousness, will be observing the body, which is the material unit. And ultimately, we will be seeing the coexistence, the space. Who is going to be observing? I, the self. But like we mentioned, for this, we need to build up our competence a little bit. So largely, we will be focusing on exercise 1 and 2 here, seeing the self by the self and seeing the body by the self. Next slide. So if we look at what we are doing today, not all of us, but many of us, or what we have been doing in the past, is we tend to look outward. And when we look outward, we are not aware of what is going on within us. We are not aware of our imagination, our desires, thoughts, expectations. We are not aware of our assumptions. So outside, in relationship, many a time, our recognition and fulfillment is based on whatever we have assumed about relationship. Like we were discussing right now. If the other person misbehaves, I may assume that why should I behave properly? I will also behave the same way, and so on. So we may have all kinds of assumptions, but we haven't checked, is this really true for me? Is it right for me? Do I really want this? So how do we need to go about it? We need to start looking inward. When we look within the self, this potential of going beyond assuming, this potential of getting to knowing and then accepting on the basis of knowing, this potential is there, which we can explore. And when we are paying attention inward, not that we totally ignore the outside, but while paying attention inward, we'll be paying attention outside. So first within, then in relationship outside. Now what's going to happen is our recognition and fulfillment will become definite. It will be based on knowing. So we will be accepting or assuming on the basis of knowing. And that can make all the difference. When we are applying the power of the self outward and then inward, right? So instead of just paying attention outside, we'll be paying attention inside. And with that, we'll be paying attention outside as and when needed. But since within things are going on all the time, we need to pay attention inside all the time. Just like how we say, when you're driving, you have to be careful. One moment you take your eyes off the road and, you don't pay attention, an accident can happen. Similarly, when we are paying attention inside, one moment we slip and we might find we become unhappy. But if we want happiness in continuity, we want to pay attention inside all the time. And with that, pay attention outside as and when needed. So let's look at this. Exercise 1, observing the self by the self, looking inward, looking inside. And just as we have mentioned earlier also, this is one way of looking within. It's not the only way. In tradition, there are many ways. This is one such method. The steps that we are going to be talking about in this exercise, we'll be talking about 7 steps. This is one possible set of steps. It's not the only set of steps. And as we explore and we look at these steps, if we feel the need, we can split them up into smaller baby steps for our need. And when we become comfortable with all the steps, eventually then we can, make these steps, combine these steps based on our competence. But to begin with, we'll start with these 7 steps. So we mentioned this, that do I need to use the eyes to see the self? For example, to see my imagination, do I need to use my eyes? So many of us have been trying to see within. And you can see very clearly that you don't need to see with the eyes, right? Close your eyes right now and see if you can observe anything inside. And you may notice that some thoughts, something you can observe, something is going on inside. It also depends on our competence. So if we are doing this for the first time, it may seem like nothing is going on. What is there to see? But as we slowly work on this, as we continue with the decision to pay attention inside, slowly things will start becoming visible within. We will start seeing our thoughts, our feelings, and so on. So even if we give rest to the eyes, we can keep the eyes open, we can keep the eyes closed, we can keep them half open, doesn't matter. We can still observe inside. Then do we need to take any kind of work from the body? So if I need to see my feeling, do I need to take any work from my body? So you could be doing whatever, but you may notice that you're getting angry. You may be able to see this feeling in you. You may notice that, okay, now I'm getting angry inside. I'm feeling uncomfortable inside. For this, you don't need to take work from the body. So you can give rest to the body also. So for these exercises, we can keep the body in any comfortable position. In any position we choose. We can sit, we can stand, we can lie down. Although one, caution, if we lie down in the bed, we may fall asleep. So better that we want to be alert and look within. We can be in any comfortable position. Keep the body in any comfortable position. Keep the eyes either closed or open. And just try to observe. So what are we going to observe? So we are going to observe myself. I, the self or the consciousness, will be observing myself. I, the self. How to be aware of myself? One method is that I become aware of my imagination. Whatever is going on within my imagination. So we need to try and observe this desire, thought, expectation in our imagination. Now, initially, we may find it difficult. What is the desire? What is the thought? What is the expectation? But at least we can just observe something is going on. You may notice even something like, how when you see a film, the frame is changing very fast, very rapidly. You might notice something like that to begin with. But whatever it is at this time, try to observe it just as it is. Don't try to judge it or stop it or change it. Don't tell yourself that, oh, this is the wrong thing I'm thinking and now I have to change it. No. Just observe whatever is going on. Just observe whatever it is. We'll try to do this for 10 minutes and then we'll take your observations and questions about this. Let's try to do this. Okay, we have been observing for about 10 minutes now. So we'd like to hear especially from participants who have joined this morning session for the first time. Were you able to observe something? Those of us who have joined from before, of course, we may be able to observe our feeling, thought, expectation. But those who have joined new in the session for the first time, let us hear from you.
Namaste, Didi.
Namaste.
Uh, Didi, when I was, uh, observing, so that imagination, I could see it is going uh, ahead and backward, and mainly I found it, I want to do this, and it was based on assumption. It was not based on knowing. And I was not able to reach to the natural acceptance, and that the back of the past thing always came into this thing, and I could see it was not on the basis of contemplation. It was the thinking part. I will say this, and this is going to be the uh, this thing outcome. And then when I will say this, the other one is going to say this, and this is what was going on. So it was, I could see it was on the basis of preconditioning, uh, belief what I had, and it was not a pure. Nothing was, uh, that I could observe it. Yes, Didi.
Yeah, as of now, what you can focus on is just whatever is going on, just watch it.
Mm-hmm.
See whatever is going on. Don't try to evaluate it just now. Don't try to label it. This has come from preconditioning. I'm not referring to the natural acceptance. Don't do all that.
Okay.
Just observe whatever is going on. Just observe. Right?
Oh,
Even if the imagination is drifting from one, like you mentioned, maybe in the past or going to the
mm-hmm.
future, just observe. Whatever is happening, just observe. Right? To begin with, that is important so that we can become comfortable with this observation part. Otherwise, what happens is we observe for a little while, then we slip back into the imagination and we start trying to analyze it.
Mm-hmm.
And the observation stops there. Then
Okay.
we are thinking about observing, thinking about something else. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So just observe whatever is going on.
Uh,
Right?
and Didi, I could notice one more thing, like this relation and opposition. Uh, I want to be in the relation, but again, the thinking part was taking me to the opposition.
Mm-hmm.
That I could observe it.
Yeah, just observe
Okay.
what kind of thought you're having, what kind of feeling you're having,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just try
Yeah.
to observe. Okay.
Okay, Didi. Thank you so much.
नमस्ते सभी को
जी नमस्ते.
when I was just thinking
Mm-hmm.
and completely imagination, I was just quietly feeling happy because our admissions are going on, and I just saw the complete picture, and I too involved in that picture. That how is my role in that complete process, and even I could see my staff members, the persons, the candidates, students, just whatever the picture was there, and I completely observe it from self side.
Mm-hmm.
And that is complete picture was there in my mind.
Mhm.
It is my only observation.
Nice, very nice. This is how we can just keep observing whatever is going on. And slowly now, when we go further in the step,
Yes,
then we'll work on seeing, what is it
yes.
that we are observing and evaluating, and all that we'll come to. But to begin with, let's just get comfortable with observing.
Okay, okay.
Right. Very well.
Yes, namaste.
Namaste.
Good morning,
Yes.
everybody.
Yes.
While going into the sort of a meditation, I totally became blank today. This is the first time I attended.
Mm-hmm.
No
Yeah.
observation, nothing was coming. It was totally blank.
Yeah.
Is it like that?
This is very common when we start the observation, and it's okay. What we can do is keep with that decision that I need to observe. I need to observe whatever is going on in my imagination. And slowly you will find that something is going on and you will be able to see it. Right?
Right. So, what exactly is this total? Can you just brief me what exactly is this total session about it? I could not follow. I mean, since I just saw that it is the 28th day today.
Yeah, this is the first day that you joined?
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, okay. So we were just mentioning that we are going to be observing ourselves, right? We want to be in continuous happiness. We all do want that, right?
Okay.
And for that, we have to understand many things. To start with, we have to understand ourselves. We have to understand the entire existence, but to begin with, we'll understand ourselves. So, to understand ourselves, we have to pay attention inside. We
True.
have to pay attention to whatever is going on in our imagination.